How's it going, guys? It's finally here, our annually collab banner, and this time it's gonna be Bang Dream Ave Mujica. So if you guys don't know what it is, it's basically a mobile game, also a anime. It's got anime series. You can watch it if you wanted to. I would just read the story personally, but either ways, it's not about the collab itself, it's about the banner that we're talking about in this video. I really don't want to make a video about Ave Mujica because it gets really complicated. I don't want to touch on it, so just understand that it's a ban of 5 operators, and we will be getting our 6-star as Sakiko, and there will be 3 more operators, 3 more 5-stars, which is band members, and a free welfare operator, which is also a part of the band member. And it gets complicated over there, so I won't talk too much about it. All right, so obviously this banner is all about should you pull this banner, and obviously everyone understands it's a collab banner. Once it's gone, it's most likely gone, unless we're going to get another collab in the future, which we might probably, since we're seeing that we might be getting a Monster Hunter collab, but then that wasn't announced in the most CN stream, so we don't even know if that's happening. So take this as it is. But outside of that, why would you want to pull this banner? How are the operators? That is what we're talking about today, and definitely we're going to be focusing on Sakiko, but we're also going to talk about some combo where you pair some of the operators in these collab together in Ave Mujica band together, and they will have some unique features, will I say. So without further to say, let's look at the operators. And this is our 6-star operator this time, who is going to be Togawa Sakiko. So Sakiko is a Lord operator. So to ring a bell, Silver Ash, Thorns, yes. So, and then Chobai, obviously. So you would know that these are the guards that can do long range attacks, but when they're attacking range enemies, they have decreased 20% attacks, so only hit 80%. That class. Take a look at her talent and traits. As you can see, I have module level 3 here. It is actually necessary. I'll talk about it real soon. So obviously the trait here is deals long range attack, but then attack decreases to 80%. Now, her trait increases with her module to give her 12 attack speed when there is 2 or more enemies within her attack range. This attack range is kind of special. We'll talk about it more in talent 2. Now, let's take a look at her first talent. Her first talent without the module, is that Sakiko can continuously attack even though when there is no enemies within her attack area. So this is actually really beneficial. I'll talk about it why real soon. And then her attack will actually play out a note that floats out and can track enemies. So in theory, not in theory, in practice, her attack range is actually wider than the attack range that you are seeing right here, the normal attack range, because once the notes fly out of her attack range, it can still lock onto enemies and hit enemies. This slight distance, because it will still disappear, but it's actually slightly larger. And once it's locked onto an enemy, it will follow them as far as possible. So let's say you have a boss, and then you already have like the node played out, and the nodes have already locked onto the boss, and then the boss actually the whole stage changes, right? You move to the next part of the stage, the boss appears, it will still follow, the nodes will still follow and track down the boss, which is very interesting mechanic. Now, for every node on the field, Ave Mujica members will ignore 3% of enemies' defense and 2% of their resistance. It can stack up to 10 layers. Now let's take a look at module level 3. With module level 3, it's 5% defense and 2.5% arch resistance. So at max, that is 50% defense ignored and 25% arch resistance ignored. Oh wait, that's 12 layers as well. So 60% defense and 30% resistance. Really, really powerful. There's another part though. During attack duration, long range attack will no longer decrease attack. Yes, the part where every single other Lord, 6-star Lord has it, like as a base thing, you require module level 2 for it. So module level 2 and 3, the difference is the ignored defense and resistance, but you need at least module level 2 for the no longer decrease attack, and that is very important because she also deals resistant arts damage. That's why there's the ignore resistance. Now, her second talent is that whenever she deals damage to, or should I say, whenever she attacks, she will gain 3 fever. When other Ave Mujica member are in her base attack area, so the area that is not expanded, it will expand her attack area to include the other band members of like attack area. So let's take a look at this area. So at the tip of her attack area, if you put down, let's say Umiri, which is a ambusher, if the attack area is stacked on top of each other, Sakiko's attack range will expand out, which is very strong. But you cannot stack this further. So you can't say put another operator within Umiri's attack area and then just expand it out indefinitely. It has to be within Sakiko herself's attack area. All right. Now, what does fever mean? Fever is a Ave Mujica only mechanic where whenever you have 450 points, so attack 150 times for Sakiko, whenever a Ave Mujica operator manually activates a skill, all Ave Mujica members will have 20-second of skill activation time. So if it's a one-time skill, so like let's say those skills where next attack deals increased amount of damage, it becomes every single hit deals the increased damage. Or if it's a duration skill, then it would have a 20-second duration of said skill. Now, if you activate it during a duration skill, so let's say it's a 40-second skill, right? You activate the fever midway through, so 20 seconds of skill duration has passed, you activate it, you'll have 20 seconds of fever. Once the fever ends, you will still go back to the original duration, which is lengthen a 40-second skill into a 60-second skill duration. Very interesting. Now, within operators within her attack area has plus 12 attack speed as well. So in a combo, this is actually a very strong kit and works really well with all of their skills as well, which we'll be talking about soon. But in general, just understand that this favorite thing works great, especially when you have other Ave Mujica members in the team, which I think are some combinations are really worth it, and I'll talk about them when we talk about skills as well. So that's her traits, module, and talents. So first we have skill 1. Before we go through that, you can see that all 3 of her skills are offensive recover skills, which goes really well with her talent because remember, she will be attacking even though there will be no enemies in place. What does that mean? That means she can ignore natural SP regen. So if you're in like a CC stage where you have decreased SP regen, she completely ignores that because she is offensive recovery. Very, very powerful. Matches perfectly with her talent. Now, her first skill is that immediately, once upon activating skill 1, she will immediately play 8 notes. Each note will scale from 100% of her attack down to 5% of her attack at M3, and SP requirement will be down to 3. This skill can be charged twice, and whenever you have max charge, it will automatically use the skill once. So this automatically use cannot trigger fever. You will have to trigger it yourself. And then during fever time, every time she attacks, she'll be playing out 8 notes, 8 notes, 8 notes, 8 notes, 8 notes. Now this is spreading out in an arc shape. So you actually get a pretty wide attack range if you let it spread out. But because the last note tends to be 5% of her attack, which is really, really low, it's not as good. Personally, I would only pair this skill for AFK, obviously, with someone like Umiri, which is a ambusher. Very good combination with her skill 1. This is a AFK strategy that I tend to use quite a bit. So Sakiko skill 1 plus Umiri skill 1. But if you don't want to use it in a combo, then I wouldn't recommend skill 1 at all. And I don't think you need to M3 this skill anyway. The skill itself, as long as you have a combo, works pretty well in general. And this is actually one of those situations where I can actually use AFK strategy, even though I don't need to M3. A rare occasion actually. So I would somewhat recommend it, but skill 2 is also a great AFK skill, so I'll wait and see that one and decide for yourself. Up next, we have skill 2. So this skill is actually a status skill. So originally when you place down Sakiko, her skill 2 will automatically be playing out piano notes. During her piano note status, she will have up to plus 110 attack. The speed at which the note travels will be faster. And when it hits a target, it will actually penetrate the enemy and deal physical damage. So you can think of this as kind of a straight line AoE skill. At M3, it will also be 5 SP because it is actually just changing between different states. Once you trigger the skill, you will go to this other state, which is playing organ, in which you will have plus 110 attack speed, and the note will now deal arts damage, and the flying speed will decrease. Now, there's quite a huge difference of these two skills, and I don't really want to explain it too much because it would sound something like this. During piano phase, the notes will fly out at a increasing magnitude sine wave, in which the magnitude starts out at 0.4 tiles and then the diagonal speed at 1.9 tiles, tracking distance of radius 0.8 tiles, and then it will travel at a 3.5 tile speed towards the target, turning speed of half a tile per frame, and then once it touches that, you get the point. So I'm not going to go too far into it. Just understand that it travels not in not in straight line, but it actually goes in like a sine wave. So it's like a wave. Think of it that way. Okay, let's not talk too much about that part. Now, which part about this skill I prefer as an AFK skill is you do not need to pair it with any Ave Mujica members. So you can pair it with your typical Saria or Ju, obviously, and then she will be a pretty good AFK operator dealing AoE damage. Now, obviously, you can still use your typical AFK operators like Opianis and stuff like that. But in this instance, her range is actually really nice, and the true AoE nature is also a plus. So actually, I would highly recommend you to use this skill if you wanted to AFK with your traditional AFK strategy. So with your Saria and stuff like that. And then this will be one lane. The other lane can still be Opianis or Mountain, etc, etc. So you don't need a combo with another Ave Mujica member as the benefit, in my opinion. And during Fever, she will be dealing double hits as well. So that is a very good little burst if you want that little burst during an AFK. So that's skill 2. At last, we have skill 3. So skill 3 is just outright OP in my opinion. It is one of its class, I would say. So upon activating skill 3, her attack area will immediately increase to this range. She will attack with both piano and organ notes, so you'll have 2 notes at the same time, and each will be dealing 220% of her attack as physical and arts damage. Now, these will each track the enemy with the highest resistance and the highest defense. The physical damage one will track enemy with the highest resistance. The arts damage one will track the enemy with the highest defense. That's because usually enemy with high defense will have low resistance, and enemy with high resistance will have low defense. So it's meant to target them specifically. But even if it's targeting a single enemy, because she has the ignore resistance and defense percentage, that makes her kind of ignore them by quite a significant amount, I would say. Now, during Fever period, if a Ave Mujica member takes damage, they will not retreat until the fever is gone, then they will retreat. So that's like 20 seconds of invincibility. Now, with that said, there is a combo between Ave Mujica members. So it will be Sakiko, Mutsumi, and Uika. Without the combo, Sakiko deals about 200,000 damage by herself. Pretty good, right? That's just one shot of skill 3. Now, if you activate Sakiko immediately, right, and then with Viva, that is 45 seconds of attack, and then what will happen is that paired with Mutsumi skill 2 after the fever is gone, so they can start stacking fever again. Mutsumi will activate her skill 2, which stacks a bunch of fever, while Sakiko's skill duration is still ongoing. Once Sakiko's skill duration is over, so 45 seconds has passed, including 25 seconds skill duration and 20 seconds of fever time, Uika can then activate her skill, triggering another fever, which means you have 2 fever plus 25 seconds. That is 65 seconds of duration of skill 3, in which you will be dealing 1.1 million damage to a single target. 1.1 million. And I don't know if you understand how crazy that value is. Like, the best single target damage operator we've ever had has never reached anything close to this. Even with 3 operators with buffs, it's never been this high. This is the best single target damage operator we've ever had, with resistance and defense ignoring, which makes it even better. Now, obviously, there is some downside. First of all, you have to take 3 operators. Second of all, you have to understand that Sakiko as a lord is pretty squishy. So you're looking at a glass cannon situation, but I would say the damage outweighs the negative of being a glass cannon. And then obviously there is more. That's only 3 operators. What if you add, let's say, Monster to the mix? Monster skill 2 increasing attack speed. What you will be getting is 2 million damage with 4 operators. That is actually so good. We have, like, remember in previous videos I would say, okay, these operators are really strong, deal high damage, but in RA I wouldn't recommend you to do damage with them just because of how tanky those bosses are and how many HP they have. Well, in fact, with the Sakiko Ave Mujica combo, you can ignore that, because this is the highest amount of damage we've ever seen, and they can actually take on those tanky bosses. So this is how different of a scale we're looking at. So highly recommend everyone to M3 this skill. Probably you will never see it anywhere. You'll never see this kind of damage anytime soon. But that's skill 3. Now, at last, let's talk about different use cases. So first of all, I'm definitely going to go with your normal event stages, your normal content. And I would say Sakiko does really well as an AFK operator, both with skill 1 and skill 2 in the early stages. So skill 2 goes really well. So at E1, she goes really well as a AFK operator. And then with skill 3, obviously you want to get that module level 2. So you would prioritize other E2 operators. So let's say your Wizardel or Logos, who doesn't need module. But if you have the resource to module level 2, and then plus skill 3, really, really strong boss killer. And then what I would say is she is kind of an overkill a lot of the times because enemies will just die. But what you can do is you can bring the entire Ave Mujica member together and form a huge attack area while dealing tons of damage, because of how the increased attack area allows her skill 3 to basically track the entire map in some sense, like the entire width of a map, and she can basically hit every lane in theory. So really interesting combination that you can play with, and I would highly recommend some of you to play with that if you have the resources to raise all 5 operators. Now, next we have CC. I would say she has a unique place in CC. Now, first of all, fever will not disappear if you retreat Ave Mujica members. So let's say, as an example, you can put down Sakiko, trigger skill 3, and then retreat, and then you will have the fever in place. And then down the later in the stage, you can still deploy her, activate skill 3, and then gain extra fever time as well, dealing a huge load of damage. Really, really great way to go with it. So personally, I would say she does really well in CC, especially those that have decreased SP region tags. Yeah, that is where the attack to region skill trait really comes into play. So highly possible operator in the future. Not currently in CN yet, but I believe someone with such high damage and unique trait is bound to shine someday. There is one downside. Notice that she doesn't have any extra features. It's only just damage That means you can't rely on her to control an enemy, like to keep an enemy afar. So what I would say is you'll still have to work around those, but as a pure damage operator, I think she does really well even in CC. Next, we have obviously IS. This one I will be slightly split. So let's talk about IS6 first. So as we all know, IS6, the whole point is to have the ability to solo stages in boss key. She can't really do that, so she's not really an early stage operator. What you can do though is once you already have a really good team going, then you can bring her in as your basically boss killer or late game, you know, destroyer DPS, in which she does really well in ending 1, where her skill 3 can just brute force kill the boss ace as soon as possible, so you don't have to deal with all the explosive summons and stuff like that. It makes first ending really a lot more easier, I would say. With second ending, the same. So you know how like the foot stomp can kill a lot of operators? It can kill Sakiko as well, so you will need someone to help her survive, but she can kill ending 2 boss really quickly, so you don't get too much pressure from the boss, and then you can just focus on dealing with the rest of the stage. So killing the boss early with Sakiko skill 2 and ending 2 is a great strategy as well. Ending 3, roughly about the same. The huge area allows her to defend 2-3 lanes, and then you can also use her as a like boss killer as soon as like killing the boss ASAP as well. So you can play it with both ways. It's just that we also do have Lazy Altar, and I wouldn't say one is definitely better than the other. I would say, oh, Lazy actually plays a bit better because she has the boss key advantage. I'll still pick Lazy Altar over Sakiko. And the thing about Sakiko is also you want other Ave Mujica members to gain fever as well, right? Because you don't necessarily have attack speed increase with Sakiko alone, and you need to gain fever. So other Ave Mujica members can come in handy, in which they use specialist and supported tickets, which you don't have a lot of, but they don't go too well in IS6, in my opinion, in the combo, I mean. So Sakiko is like a, yeah, you can grab operator. She does work well in late game, not the best. In IS5 though, it's completely different. IS5, if you're going with the King set, even just getting King's Lands with the increased attack speed, Sakiko will destroy. He will destroy most of these endings. He will destroy Quaylon easily, especially phase 2 of Quaylon. Put down Sakiko, she will destroy Quaylon. Just remember that don't use her in phase 1 of Quaylon, because I've seen a CN streamer try to do that, and she killed the boat way too quickly. And even though he tried to retreat Sakiko to cancel it, the notes once already like gone out will not disappear even if you retreat Sakiko, and then the boat will just disappear, and then you don't get to ship operators to the second phase and you die that way. So it can happen, just saying. So just to be safe, only phase 2. And doing Armia, also really easy as well, easy boss kill. So in general, I would say Sakiko is a great addition to IS5 if you're still into that. And I think it's pretty fun still. Like, I personally do prefer IS5 even to this day. So if you ask me if I want to play IS6 or IS5 now, I would still go back to IS5. And then obviously there's SSS. Personally, I highly recommend using AFK strat in SSS. So you can do skill 1 or skill 2 and then just stack attack speed, because remember, these are all attack speed regen. So increased attack speed also increases their skill activation, which means deals more damage, makes life a lot more easier with AFK strategies. If you do want to go with skill 3, it's kind of a mixed bag because it is single target after all. So you do want other AoE operators to clear out the pack, because her skill 3 is not going to cut it. And then at last we have RA. Like I just said, in skill 3, this is absolutely broken. The damage is so impressive, and if you give them all like food as well, increases damage even further, and you can just brute force kill bosses without thinking too much. Highly recommend for RA. And then CN did announce new RA update as well, so if you're into that, definitely grab this and then make them work in RA. So that will be it for this video. Hopefully, I will get lucky with his banner. Fingers crossed, not jinxing it. I will get a good pull because I just suffered a lot in Anfield banner. So please give me good pull for once. And I'll see you guys in the pull video. Bye.